missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a returning client, and so this is a client of mine that we have been doing underlights on for a while, and she's done a various of different colors. We've done like red and purple, and so today she wanted something that was going to lighten the top a little bit. She is going back to school soon, and so she wanted to add a little subtle pops of purple on the very top as well, and color everything to like a deep purple tone. She didn't want it to be too noticeable, so we're just gonna do a very dimensional type of placement. So since she's already had underlights, we're not going to be touching that part yet because her roots are still fairly short. The next time when she comes in for a touch-up, I will definitely hit those roots. But today I'm going to mostly focus on the dark that's on the very top. Now, a little bit of her color history is the top part is completely virgin, and I have done her hair for the past, I would say, maybe like year or so. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to lift nice and pretty. So our goal for today is to pretty much lift her to about a level 9. If we can get her to a 10, that'd be fine as well too, but at least to like a level 9 so that the violet that we're putting on her hair fades out really pretty and doesn't fade out too warm. So since I'm already starting above her old underlight, I'm going to be using the Blonde Me Schwarzkopf lightener that I use on majority of my clients. And since we're kind of starting a little bit above her underlight, I'm just using 20 volume right then and here, and I'm going to continue using only 20 volume for the rest of the head. I honestly won't need anything stronger, even though her hair is pretty much a level 2 and 3. So since we're going to be doing a placement that is very dimensional, I'm going to be spacing out these sections probably, I would say, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch apart. And this is just going to create very subtle pops of purple. She really didn't want anything that was going to be like too chunky or too drastic, because this is going to be her first time doing the purple on the top instead of just the underlight. So she wanted to kind of just feel it out and have something that wasn't going to be too bold, especially since she's going to be going back to school. She wanted to just kind of try out the color. So I'm doing a very subtle placement, and I find that doing slices and leaving this amount of negative space in between the slices does a really good job at creating a very dimensional look, where it gives very subtle pops, but enough to where you can definitely see the color, but it doesn't feel overwhelming or too solid at all. You just see just those subtle pops of the vibrant tone once we're all done. And I'm going to continue doing this type of slicing throughout the rest of her head. And again, the spacing will be pretty much similar. The only time I'll ever maybe space the sections a little bit closer together is maybe if I get a little bit closer to the hairline or anything like that. But it really depends on the client's preference. And typically I'll usually ask them if they want the front lighter or not, and then determine the spacing between the slices based off of whether or not they want the front lighter or if they want the blend to be the same all throughout. So something really quick that I want to mention. So I have been doing this client's hair for about a year, I would say, maybe. And over the time of appointments that we've seen each other, I've noticed that she kind of had slight buildup on her hair, and at first I couldn't really put my finger on it. Like, we did process of elimination to try and figure out what it was, and I think what came down to it is hard water. And when she would come in, I could definitely feel like a film on her hair. Like it never felt like it was able to get fully cleansed. Like there always felt some sort of like wax type of filling on the hair. And a product that really helped cleanse off buildup and product buildup was actually the K18 detox shampoo. I have used quite a few detox shampoos from other brands before, but I must say that the K18 one, I believe it's like the turquoise bottle one, helped a lot. And this is going to be crucial because when we're lightening hair, and if let's say we do a clarifying shampoo, which we did in the past, and it just wasn't enough. We had like dried her hair after lightening it and did like 2 clarifying shampoos with hot water and then started blow drying, and I could still feel the slightest like, I don't know, just film in her hair. And I then decided to try out that K18 detox shampoo, and we did like just 1 shampoo with that, and it got rid of a lot of the buildup. So I personally really love that product for clients who might have hard water, or just if you can feel like wax buildup on the hair. I definitely recommend cleansing the client's hair, because after this whole lightening process, we're going to be putting a semi-permanent on the hair, and a semi-permanent really only lives on the outside of the cuticle. It doesn't penetrate into the hair. So if you have something that's already kind of like a film on the hair, sometimes a semi-permanent, it kind of is like a barrier in between that and might not last as long, or it just won't feel as soft as it should. So I highly recommend, if you ever have a client that has a lot of mineral buildup or even product buildup, to try out that detox shampoo, because I really was impressed with the results compared to just like using a regular clarifying shampoo. And I know they have maybe like 2 different kinds. I believe I used the one that was more teal turquoisey. I really did love that one, and it kind of comes out a little bit gray when you pour it out in your hand before applying the shampoo. And then secondly, if a client does and have a lot of mineral buildup and you find that it is the water from their home, I always tell my clients to try and get a soft water filter. I even have one personally in my shower that kind of filters out the minerals in the water, and I could immediately tell a difference even on my skin. So I always tell my clients, if I ever feel like there's like film on their hair, or it just doesn't feel as soft as it should, or they're washing it and it still feels dirty, I would say like 8 out of 10 times it's probably the hard water that they have at home, which is completely normal, and it's easy to fix with just a soft water filter. Alrighty, so if my client has a little bit of a curtain bang and she did not want the front to be lighter, she wanted the blend to be pretty much the same, and since this is going to be the curtain bang in the front area, I didn't really want to slice it because I didn't want her to feel full chunk here. So I am doing some baby lights for her curtain banked, but the spacing in between the baby lights are going to be a little bit closer together to kind of mimic the blend with the slices behind it. And then after I do a few baby lights and have caught up towards the end of the curtain bang, I'm going to continue my slicing pattern and then continue up connecting the front and the sides. So I am going to do a little bit of a hairline detail foil there to connect the front so that it doesn't have a black hole around her face. So I did a very small weave right at the hairline, and then after that I'm going to continue doing horizontal sections up the side, and again I'm going to do these sections above her underlight and do slices just like I did in the mohawk in the back section. And the spacing on the sides here are going to be about the same, maybe even a little bit longer in between. So in the back we did probably like 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. So on the sides here, we will definitely be doing something closer to 3/4 of an inch to maybe even closer to an inch of spacing just on the sides to kind of give a little bit more depth underneath the parting line. Now, I definitely could have done shorter foils and folded up the hair, but whenever I do that, I don't know why, I find that it kind of creates warmth. So I always like to have my foils custom cut long according to the client's hair so that the lift is a little bit more even. And I'm able to check the foils a lot easier if the foil is completely flat. So now that my client's foils are ready, this is typically what the level I would lift a client to if we're doing any type of creative color, so that it fades out nice and pretty and pastel if possible. And you can see she got very light, even though we're going to be putting on a deeper purple tone. I want this purple to really last as long as possible, so we're going to be using the Danger Jones semi-permanent color, and that's just the semi line that I've been using lately. In comparison to Pulp Riot, and I find that my clients who I've been doing the Danger Jones on, they come back and their hair is still really vibrant, which in my opinion is a good thing, because I feel like creative color tones, they tend to fade extremely fast, and that's kind of the downside of doing it. It can be pretty high maintenance since the fade out is fairly quick, but I find that using this color line, it does last a bit longer, and the tones are a lot more vibrant and beautiful and bright. So for her color, I'm going to be just using Libertine from the Danger Jones lines. Libertine is a very pigmented purple. I would say this is probably one of the most pigmented purples that I've ever used, and it is super bright and beautiful. I showed her a swatch of it before we put it on her hair, and she absolutely loved it. And I feel like this is just going to make everything super subtle and blend in really well with her natural. And the plus side of it is that it's going to last pretty long and fade out just so pretty, because her hair lifted pretty light. And since we did something very dimensional, even though it's going to fade out and get pretty light, she's not going to feel too blonde, because we did leave a good amount of dimension. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. She absolutely loved her hair, and it made me so happy. She felt like she was so ready for school now, and I feel like this subtle violet tone really suited her, and I feel like was going to be perfect for her back to school. So because of the placement and the deep tone, I feel like this is going to fade out perfect and super low maintenance. I feel like pinks and purples are always the best color to fade out, because as this fades out, it's going to just fade out into a lighter purple, and then because it's so dimensional, it's not going to feel too light, and will just blend in with a very soft grow out. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.